I did get your email, and I will follow up with that gentleman first thing in the morning.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Oh,
You
you
as
said,
well.
Billy Riley Saab. Out there, please, sir, let her in.
Madam Clerk, we can begin at 7 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am, everyone. Back in here. This meeting is called to order. Roll call. Councilman Anderson,
Present.
Councilwoman Perone,
Present.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield. Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor. Deputy Mayor Whitfield did say that she would be absent today. And Mayor McIntosh.
Present.
We will now have our prayer by Minister Dr. Phyllis Riley Sapp from Alpha Baptist Church. Thank you, ma'am, for accepting. You're on mute.
Okay, you can hear me?
We can hear you now. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me for this prayer tonight. Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we come before you this night. Lord, we are thanking you and for this councilman, the councilwomen that have come together for the betterment of the community. Lord, you continue to bless them. Lord, you continue to keep them as they walk, as they talk. Lord, let them celebrate their differences as well as their similarities. And Lord, you continue to bless them, Lord, that they will know, that the community will know that they are the best that they have, and that they're chosen for a reason. And the chosen ones, Lord, are the ones that you have in your hand that can lead the way and guide the way. And Lord, as they continue out the year, Lord, whatever decisions they make, Lord, let them be for the betterment of the community. Bless them. Bless not only them, but their family members. And Lord, and let them make the right decisions, not by what their thoughts are, but let your thoughts guide them. And then we give you the honor, we give you the praise. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Will we stand for the flag salute, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, this is to announce that adequate notice of this meeting was provided in the following manner. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal complex and was mailed to the Burlington County Times, the Intelligencer, and the Courier Times. Advance written notice of this meeting was filed with the township clerk The clerk is directed to enter into the minutes of this meeting, this public announcement. Mayor?
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening, council. Good evening, Willingboro. Mr. Harris, we'll start off with your manager's report.
Good morning, Mayor and governing body and residents of Willingboro. We had a very thorough report at our last meeting, so I don't really have too much heavy lifting to do tonight. I'll just go through some things. One of the more serious conversations that we've been having, I guess, is some of the violations that have been occurring around the township. Our inspections department has been going around and monitoring some of these violations. And although that we, the body and some of the residents aren't aware of what's been happening in-house, we are aware of some of these violations and are actively looking to mitigate them, to kind of help keep the body a little better informed and the public a little more informed about some of these things that are happening around Willingboro. I will be bringing you a little more regularly some reports specifically related to inspections violations and ordinance violations and things like that, and how they are being addressed. That was a request that I made from the departments, the inspections department and the police. So they will be compiling that information for more concise reporting for the body. But for tonight, I just do want to bring to light two pretty prevalent issues that have been looming around. One related at 16 Belmont Avenue. I do want you to know that that residence has been issued multiple summonses for violations, as well as summonses from the police department. That particular landlord is having issues with those tenants, and they have been a little non-responsive, but the vehicles in question there are unregistered, not owned by the current residents, and arrangements are being made to tow those vehicles from the property in question. Another particular address on Belmont had issues with parking in their yard as well. They were issued summons as well. Those parties did show up to court and have paid the fines. The vehicles have been removed from the yard, but we will continue to monitor that particular situation. I did make you aware of a egregious situation that was in the Country Club Plaza over the weekend. That situation has been mitigated. Unfortunately, there was some administrative errors and things were not communicated correctly, but it was cleared up and cleaned up today. A little residual that needs to be handled tomorrow, but it will be taken care of. And our inspections department is going to be being more aggressive and proactive in monitoring Willingboro, some of these violations, and keeping not only our residential but our commercial properties up to a standard that's acceptable for us here in Willingboro. That said, they did complete 489 inspections this month for the month of January and collected a little over $48,000 in revenue. For our parks and recreations, the DMV van was at the Kennedy Center from February 13th to 17th, and they will be returning in March. So if residents have not had the opportunity, they can make appointments to obtain their real ID by way of the motor vehicle website. And I do believe a link to that is provided on our website as well. We know Black History Month is underway. Faith in Action did a great job, I understand, with the Black History Month kickoff the play on February 11th titled Color Me Brown. I understand the group did an amazing job. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend that performance. The final Black History Month event is on February 26th. And for additional details, you can go to Impactful Black at impactfulcaregiving.com. And again, we'll make sure that information is posted on our website for if anyone is interested in that information as well. I did want everyone to know that Recreation is now accepting nominations for our Phenomenal Woman Awards. For details, you can visit willingbororec.com or the township's Facebook page. The event is scheduled for Sunday, April 23rd at 3 p.m. so you can save the date in your calendars. And the deadline for the nominations is March the 10th. Starting for our public safety, I just want you to know that the township has been hiring additional security personnel just so we can provide security staff to cover the library. Starting on March 1st, we will have a full complement of officers to provide the requested security to the library. Applications are currently available and being accepted for the Citizens Police Academy on the department's website and in person at the police department, the Kennedy Center, and the library. The academy will be held on Saturdays in April at the police department from 9 to noon. It's a great opportunity for community members to learn more about the inner workings of the police department. Anyone 21 years of age living or working in Willingboro is eligible to apply for the Citizens Police Academy. The applications are due back on March the 17th. On Saturday, February 18th, Kelly Logan, organizer of Drop Your Gun Inc., will be hosting a Protect and Serve breakfast from 9 a.m. to noon at the Kennedy Center. Mr. Logan founded the organization after his 16-year-old daughter, Latrice Logan, was fatally shot here in Willingboro several years ago. The mission of his organization is to help continue to strengthen community ties with law enforcement, and Officers Landon, Pogrzelski, Thomas, Mel, Beverly, and more will be in attendance at that event. There was also a notable charity event or charitable cause for our officers on February 2nd. Brian Lushikanish, which was a Pemberton police officer, passed away suddenly, leaving his wife and several young children. Some of the officers in our department were gracious enough. They did want to express their condolences to the family and took an initiative to organize a dinner for their behalf, and we thank them for their generosity. Our police department was very active and very busy this morning. They conducted 3 raids on some homes here in Willingboro and were able to secure and remove a large amount of drugs, some weapons, once again, making Willingboro a more livable, safe community for our residents. So we thank the police for their hard work and efforts keeping our residents safe. Our Senior Services and Community Affairs Department did hold 2 COVID vaccine clinics scheduled for the month of February. The next one will be on the 27th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Reaver Foster Senior Center. No appointments are necessary. And again, more information is available on our website, on Facebook, and I do believe the information is posted on the various message boards throughout the community. On February 16th, there were 7 staff members from the New Jersey Department of Treasury present to assist residents with their anchor filing applications and answer questions. Taxation actually called Ms. Foster to tell her how amazing the event was and how Willingboro did a wonderful job getting people to come to the event. And they described it as their most successful event yet. We were able to help 158 residents who also received their confirmation numbers and the dates that they will receive their relief funds. So we were happy to offer whatever support that we could for this worthy event. From Fire and EMS, there were 9 library and staff personnel who were trained by EMT Brian Wood Jr. in the Stop the Bleed course. These 9 library staff members now know how to properly stop bleeding with use of tourniquets and Stop the Bleed kits that are mounted on the walls in the library. And then on February 18th, there were 5 firefighters and 2 EMTs that attended the To Protect and Serve event held at the Kennedy Center. Fire, EMS, and police personnel were requested to assist with serving breakfast to kids from pre-K to 5th grade at that particular event. And I did want to announce that our DPW department continues to work on potholes throughout the township. They utilized a test hot patcher machine from the manufacturer that we are looking to purchase a new one from to do the work last week, and we will continue working with the county as the county's schedule permits over the next few weeks, and to continue to tackle the large amount of potholes here in Willingboro. And that's really all that I have to bring to the body this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Harris. Does council have any questions for Mr. Harris about his update? All right, Mr. Harris, you can move on to ordinances and resolutions.
Yes. So going through the agenda, we're going to ask the governing body if they would consider these items for passage this evening or for consideration. Ordinance 2023-1 is the public hearing and final reading of the ordinance to establish travel reimbursement and regulations for township officials and township employees conducting official business. There were some requested amendments that were made to that document that was introduced at the last meeting. So we would like to have the final or the public hearing and the final reading and possible adoption tonight. Same with ordinance number 2023, which is an ordinance of the township of Willingboro in the county of Burlington to provide for the reappropriation of $251,748.97 in unused debt authorizations needed for their original purposes in order to provide for 2 township servers and the hot patcher, which I just mentioned, for the Department of Public Works. If you recall, we've been experiencing some serious difficulties with our servers. Our IT department is still working very diligently when they crash to bring them up. But we are seriously approaching the end where we may suffer catastrophic failures. Thanks to the reappropriations, we'll be able to go and purchase 2 new servers and provide updated necessary equipment for our IT infrastructure. Ordinance number, in addition with that, is the hot patcher that DPW is going to use to continue to work on the potholes in the township. And again, hopefully if that's approved, then we can have that equipment in place and ready to go relatively quickly, since this has been a very mild winter. I believe we're going to be in the 70-degree area over the next couple of days, so we can knock out some of these needed repairs to our streets. Ordinance number 2023-3 is the public hearing and final reading. Again, we're not going to deal with that. That should not actually be on the agenda. So we're going to strike ordinance 2023-3 from consideration. For the resolutions, there was a request resolution. I think this one had a number 40. Yes, resolution 2023-40, which is authorizing the township of Willingboro to sell at auction items or equipment that are no longer operational or required by the Department of Public Works. They have identified certain personal property owned by the township that no longer works or may no longer be necessary for the operation of the department, and therefore it will be classified as surplus personal property and will be placed on municipal bid for public auction, which is a requirement of the state that we auction off any unused or unneeded personal property. Resolution 2023-41 is authorizing the township of Willingboro to place municipal charges on certain properties for failing to address property maintenance violations. The properties of record set forth in the attached schedule failed to respond to different violation notices, to abate outstanding property maintenance issues in the township of Willingboro in accordance with our borough ordinances. Subsequently, arrangements were made for the property, the maintenance violations to be abated, the cost of which became a part of the taxes net assessed and levied upon the properties and enforced and collected with interest upon those individual properties. So we're just asking for the council's authorization to go ahead and assess those fines and penalties on those particular properties. Resolution number 2023-42 is authorizing an increase in the 2020 not to exceed amount approved for the funding of the Willingboro Township share of the MAX contract. You remember at our last meeting, we did authorize our portion of the 2023 MAX contracts, which deals with recycling and trash removal from our apartment complexes. In 2022, we were just $7,133.98 shy of what we anticipated our annual allotment to be. A lot of that, or the additional monies, could be from additional refuse that was put out for collection. A couple of washing machines can tip that balance very easily. So we're just asking for the additional $7,000 to pay our additional costs for 2022. Resolution 2023-43 is a resolution of the township authorizing execution of a professional services agreement for the not to exceed amounts. And I believe, Mr. Crook, we wanted to hold off on this particular, or are we ready to move forward with it?
Excuse me. We want to hold off on this. There's a couple of things I need to double check in terms of a couple of different contracts or issues regarding how compensation was going to be calculated and applied. So I'm doing that. I'm also going to be reviewing the other responses just to make sure we're consistent in how we deal with the compensation issues going forward. So we're putting this off till March 7th, at which time we'll have those issues resolved and be ready to move forward.
Okay, so if there's no objection from the body, we're going to ask that that resolution be withdrawn and reconsidered on March the 7th. Resolution number 2023-44 is authorizing another increase to the not to exceed amount for Pannoni Engineering for the provision of engineering services to the Township of Willingboro. Again, in 2022, the totality of their contract came out to $185,000 for the year. We budgeted or gave them a not to exceed amount of $100,000. So we need an additional $85,000 to cover the remaining costs for engineering services and to close out payments for 2022. Resolution number 2023-45, accepting the tax collector's 2022 annual report. I am too going to ask that the council hold off on accepting that report. The tax assessor, or I'm sorry, the tax collector, I believe, needs to provide you just a little more detail as to information provided on that report. And I did not receive it for your consideration in a timely enough amount for you to be able to really go over it and look at that. So we're going to hold off on until the 7th for March the 7th for that. Resolution number 2023-46 is a resolution authorizing a change order for a contract with Think Pavers Hardscaping LLC for the Buckingham Culvert Repair Project. This authorizes a change order in the amount of $8,500 to increase the total contract services amount with Think Pavers Hardscaping LLC from $127.96 to $129,296. That increase in that amount comes from additional tree work that was required, not anticipated at the beginning of the work. Part of that was requested by the township to deal with some brush and overhang in that area. And some of it was required by the vendor to properly move some underbrush that was blocking their path. So that's what that $8,500 was for, that we're asking the council to just increase that total contract to $129,296. That contract, with the exception of the paving portion, is complete. And we have not yet paid maybe about 40% out. So we still have some that is left to be paid on that contract. Resolution 2023-46 is a resolution authorizing refunds for overpayment of taxes. There are some residents or title companies that overpaid their taxes or do refunds because of exemptions, and we are going to ask that those monies be returned to the rightful recipients. Resolution number 2023-48 is a resolution providing for the designation of official newspaper, petty cash, and other procedural requirements in the township. There are 4 items that are being dealt with in this particular resolution. The first one is establishing the Burlington County Times as the primary official newspaper for the publication of all advertisements and notices required by law to be published by the municipality. That will be our official source of public notices as required to be established by state statute. Item number 2 that's going to be dealt with in this resolution is establishing a dedicated rider or petty cash fund in the amount of $500 for utilization by the Township Department of Public Works and Recreation to make purchases for small purchases. Sometimes they just need to run out to the store and just grab small items. This provides some petty cash fund, which is managed by the finance department and allows them to go out and make those small emergency purchases. Number 3, authorizes and directs the approval of certain refunds subject to ratification by the town council. Those would be refunds like, example, the refund of overpayment of taxes, or maybe refunds of licenses and permits. Those refunds don't happen automatically. As stated, they would be subject to ratification or approval by town council before those refunds could take place. And the 4th item is just authorizing the discontinued collection of interest for taxes in sums less than 50 cents. So those are the 4 particular items that this particular resolution is going to take care of. Resolution number 2023-49 is establishing the rate of interest to be charged for the non-payment of taxes, assessments, or other municipal liens or charges. New Jersey statutes provide that the governing body may fix the rates of interest to be charged for the non-payment of taxes, different assessments, or other municipal liens or charges, unless they're otherwise provided somewhere in the law on or before the date they would become delinquent. And this just establishes that rate of taxation. I believe it is at 18% for the first 1,500. Then I believe it amounts over that, over 10,000, there's like a 6% penalty that goes along with that. So those are the rates that we are establishing. Resolution number 2023-50 is authorizing the approval of vouchers for payment and ratification. Those are the bills that are being presented to you for payment. And those are all of the items that are being presented to you for your consideration this evening.
I just want to make a correction. We are looking at the ordinance for the Divine Nine, correct? Would that be ordinance 2023-3?
Yes.
No, it would be 2023-4.
-4, okay.
Yes.
Yes, and I apologize. That was not written on my one particular agenda. So that ordinance is, or Councilman Anderson, do you wish to introduce that one or speak on it?
No, you can go ahead. It's part of your report.
So ordinance 9 is establishing a bench contribution. I forget what the title was, but it was specifically related to the Divine Nine fraternity and sororities that do a lot of good public service here in Willingboro. The council thought it appropriate to designate an area in Mill Creek Park, which would allow them to establish benches, identifying each of their fraternal or sorority organizations. And that ordinance establishes the parameters and rules related particularly to those activities.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll open up public comment for agenda items only. Any public that has any comments for the agenda items only, you have 2 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Public comment for agenda items only is now open.
All right, Brown.
Yes, good afternoon, council members. I just wanted to, my address is 78 Executive Lane. Could you explain more detail about resolution 2023-49? Resolution established the rate of interest, the charges for the non-payment of taxes.
Right. So, I'm sorry.
Yes, all right, Ms. Brown, we're just going to go through everybody and then we'll answer after we close public comment.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Any other public comment for agenda items? Do we see anybody else in queue?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, public comment for agenda items is now closed. Mr. Harris, you can address Ms. Brown.
So, once again, that is the rate of interest that the township is going to assess on property owners who are delinquent in paying their taxes, any other additional assessments or fees that are due the township. The law permits them to set a rate of interest at 18%. I believe it's for the first $1,500, but let me just scroll through this right here real quick, and I'll give you that exact figure. Yes, it is 8% per annum for the first $1,500 of delinquency and 18% per annum on any amount in excess of $1,500 to be calculated from the date payable to the date of the actual payment. So that would be the rate of interest charged for for failure to make any payment on your taxes or other fees. There is also a 6% penalty for delinquency for all amounts in excess of $10,000 above and beyond the 18%.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Harris. Madam Clerk, we can move on to the ordinances.
This is public hearing for ordinance 2023-1, an ordinance of Willingboro Township to establish travel reimbursement regulation for township officials and township employees conducting official business. Public hearing is now open. Host, you see anyone?
Not at this time.
Public hearing is now closed. This is the final reading for ordinance 2023-1, an ordinance of Willingboro Township to establish travel reimbursement regulation for township officials and township employees conducting official business. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perrone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
This is public hearing for ordinance 2023-2, ordinance of the Township of Willingboro in the County of Burlington, New Jersey, providing for the reappropriation of $251,748.97 in unused debt authorization not needed for their original purposes in order to provide for 2 township service and hot patch for the Department of Public Works. Public hearing is now open. Host, you see anyone?
Yes, Pat Lindsay Harvey.
Good evening, Council. Pat Lindsay Harvey, Hadley Lane. I'm glad to see the township is taking such precautions for the security of our IT and our servers, because as Mr. Harris said, it could be very devastating if something were to happen. So I'm very glad to see that you're taking these steps. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay Harvey.
Anyone else, host?
Not at this time.
Public hearing is now closed. This is the final reading for ordinance 2023-2, ordinance of the Township of Willingboro in the County of Burlington, New Jersey, providing for the reappropriation of $251,748.97 in unused debt authorization not needed for their original purposes in order to provide for 2 township servers and hot patch for the Department of Public Works. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Worthy. Any discussion?
The only thing for discussion is I just want to make sure that based on our last conversations, wherever we're borrowing this money from, that it's returned in addition to whatever funds we were planning to add to it for the forthcoming years. I just don't want to see those dollars returned and we forget about what we were supposed to add. So as long as, we stay along those lines, I'm good.
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone?
Yes. So I see the reappropriations. I'm not seeing where the money is going to. It says amount, there's like a 3-column graph and it says amounts to be reappropriated, but it doesn't specify what is it going to be used for. And it's like 12 items here.
So this is from capital budgets that were not previously used. So the monies are coming from old capital budget line items, and then will be put into a new capital budget appropriation for 2 servers and then for a hot patch.
Oh, I see. So, okay, I see. So what's happening? So it looks like approximately about, I don't know, maybe 10 items here. So all of that in total is going to go for those 2, the hot patch and the servers.
That is correct.
Okay. What exactly is a hot patch? I see that it's for the Department of Public Works.
So a hot patch is a machine, and I don't know if any of you had the ability to watch it in work over the last week, but it's a machine that essentially heats up tar, road patch, and makes it pliable for them to go and put it into the potholes and tamp it down. And it is a more sustainable method for temporary pothole replacements in comparison to cold patch, which is you just take it pretty much out of a bag, dump it in a hole, and kind of tap it down. So, the cold patching is good for really short-term emergency situations, and this is a more pliable, longer-term solution until the actual road repair work can begin.
Okay. All right. And then I see here you have part of one of the 12 items. It says improvements to the sidewalks, streets, roads, and storm waters. It doesn't say which streets it was that's going to be taken away from repairing the streets and sidewalks. Do you happen to know what streets, or was that figure just random for any streets?
So those accounts that are listed there are either those contracts have already been completed and those were leftover funds from those particular ordinances, or there were 2 that we were borrowing from for temporarily $100,000 from the turf field, 50,000 from mold remediation, and there was another 50,000 from, I don't have the particular ordinance in front of me, that we were borrowing temporarily. That's what Councilman Anderson was just referring, our commitment to replace those figures in the 2023 capital budget.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the explanation.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
This is ordinance 2023-4. That ordinance is was in the back of your packet and also for the public. Ordinance establishing the Divine Nine Park Bench Donation Program for the Township of Willenboro. This is ordinance 2023-4. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Perone. Discussion? See mine, but Councilman Anderson, I know you were pioneering this. Where would this be? Or
Right
where-
now, you know, we looked at the park, we looked around the lake, but that hasn't been set in stone. We still have options, but it's something that I spoke with the manager with. We will do a walkthrough, but the lake came to mind because there's 9 organizations. It would allow each organization to have enough space. We wouldn't be on top of each other. But right now, it's not definitive until we do our final walkthrough.
Will it be definitive before we go through the whole process of approving the ordinance?
Yep, we can, like I said, get out there next week. And like I said, Dr. Worthy had a hand in this as well.
And I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I don't know. And what would be the obligations of each fraternity and sorority to upkeep it, or is there a cost to
The
doing
cost,
it?
any cost associated with it falls on the organizations, the upkeep, the cleaning. That's what they will have to do. Upon their purchase of the bench, they will have to donate it to the township so that we can install it. But there's no cost associated with the township. Only thing we're doing is providing space.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-40.
Hold on.
Resolution.
Yes, hold on, I'm sorry, Madam Clerk. Barring, does council want to pull out any of these resolutions outside of, I know we're taking out of resolution 2023-43 and 2023-45.
Correct.
Are there any ones that you need further discussion?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. I make a motion for consent agenda of resolutions 2023-40, 41 and 42. Resolution 2023-44, 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
I need a motion for an approval of the consent agenda, please.
So
Resolution.
moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. All right, Madam Clerk, you can continue.
We did 50. I need a motion for approval of, the treasury report. Do we have
So
a treasury
moved.
report today?
Yeah.
Madam Mayor,
Sort of.
I don't
Yes.
think we voted, did we do a vote on the consent agenda? Or was, I know we seconded to group it, but was there a motion to actually vote on the items now?
Yes, we just did that.
That was
Councilman Anderson and Dr. Worthy motioned and seconded.
Okay, I thought we did that. I thought that was to group it and agreed to group it.
And then I made the motion to group it and Dr. Worthy seconded.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Madam Clerk?
No, that approval, Mayor, Councilman Anderson did. It was Councilman Anderson and Worthy.
To approve
So
the,
the approval of the consent agenda.
okay, okay, thank you.
I need a motion to approve the treasury report, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson and seconded by Dr. Worthy. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Abstain?
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh. Did you say yes, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Approval of minutes, Dr. Worthy, I did make the correction for January the 3rd, but I'm going to ask to hold January the 3rd and January the 17th. You have those corrections for the minutes. You have them tomorrow. They are done. I didn't get them back to you in time. The clarification was January the 3rd minutes. Dr. Worthy found Neely Hackett name spelled wrong. That correction was done. And on January the 17th minutes, the voting for the WMUA needed more clarity, and we have fixed that. So if we can just have an approval of minutes unless someone found anything else for February the 7th minutes, and the 3rd and the 17th will be at the next meeting. I need a motion for the approval of minutes for February the 7th, 2023, please.
So moved with the stated corrections.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Any discussion? Roll call.
I have a question. The February the 7th I didn't get any
Yeah,
correction
there
for
was no
February the
corrections.
7th.
Right. The corrections were for the January 3rd and the January 17th, the first two, so they're gonna be postponed so that she can give us time to review them until March 7th, the first meeting.
Okay.
in March.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. All right.
Mayor, while I'm here, before I get to the brief update, can we take a look at the resolution that's needed for correction? The resolution authorized the Township of Willenboro to award a bid for the leaf vacuum for the Willenboro Township Public Works Department. You all had the corrected copy and the amended copy in your packet. Mr. Crook had advised that we bring that back to this meeting. So did you all get a chance to take a look at that? And is it, do I have your authorization to make that correction?
And
Yes.
just for the council's edification, the correction had to deal with, there was just a wrong date in there. So we wanted to remove that to make it unequivocally clear. So it was a minor correction, but a necessary one.
So do we need to do a roll call or do we just?
You should do it just like as a regular resolution, do a motion,
Okay.
second, and a roll call, yeah.
Okay.
I need a motion to accept the amended resolution that's stated in your packet.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, I'm sorry, Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. And
Can I vote?
Councilwoman Worthy.
Did I skip? I'm so sorry. Let me just try that again. Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
All right. Mayor, just a few updates. Just want to state that we're on track with everything being caught up in the clerk office by our first meeting in March. Agenda minutes have been caught up, praise the Lord, and should be posted to the website, minutes and agendas, definitely by the our March 7th date. Phone calls for the month of January received in the clerk office was 1,292, and there was 1,481 calls made. Mercantiles, we bought in $13,115 and 15 cents. Our dogs license to date for the month of January, $4,482.20. We've had 58 OPRs submitted to date. January, 1 peddler's license. The planning board have 2 applications upcoming from a Midwest Industrial Fund and Pima LLC. The zoning board have 2 upcoming applications by Keynet Equities and SBK Permanent Cosmetics Studio. And that's all I have. I also want to note that we have plenty of openings for boards and commissions. We encourage the residents to apply online or stop in at the office to fill out applications. And that's all I have for now.
Are there any questions or concerns for the Madam Clerk? Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll be moving on to unfinished business. We can start with the resolution authorizing the township to award the leaf vacuum. Was that? Or
Yeah,
no?
that was just.
That's what we just did.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Mayor.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right. All right. Councilman Anderson, you got anything for unfinished business?
That actually should be under new business.
New business, got it.
That should be under new business.
Got it. Do you have any updates for the street renaming ordinance that we were looking at?
I've taken a look at the existing ordinance, and I guess what I would ask is, it appears that the consensus of the council is that they would like to do something to loosen up the requirements to give the council more flexibility. Right now, it requires the person to be deceased. It requires the person to have been a council person. So I guess the question then becomes, in terms of, bottom line is, I believe, as long as you do something reasonable and founded, fairly applied, you can pretty much set the parameters you want. So if you want to relax it, I guess I just need to hear from council, what are the parameters you would be seeking to impose? And then I'll draw up an ordinance in accordance with that.
Okay.
So it sounds to
Madam-
me like the one thing that you want to do is do away with the requirement that an individual be passed away.
But right
That-
now, it's strictly for council members, correct? The ordinance is strictly for council members and they have to be deceased and have a
Correct.
certain amount, I want to say 16 years on the council.
Yep, I mean, it's very restrictive, and I mean, it sounded like what Councilwoman Perone was interested in involved an individual who was alive and clearly wasn't a council person. So I guess I just need some direction in terms of you need some parameters, just tell me what they are, and I'll revise the ordinance and we'll get that on for first and second reading in the next upcoming meetings.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I would like to suggest that we remove the word deceased. And as it relates to individuals who are not a part of council, I think we can look at putting some criteria in place, as well as considering some type of a petition with a percentage of community support. You know, that's some of the thoughts that I would have as far
Right,
as
and I agree.
opening it up.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
agree to open it up out, and I'm saying for outside, yeah, outside of council.
This way it gives us community
Right.
input based on the petition. We would need to determine how many signatures based on the residency. You know,
Right.
we need to, this is what I'm looking at. If we open it up to the outside, we still want to have, pretty stringent requirements. This way everybody doesn't walk in the door, but that's something for discussion. And I would be willing to open it up to them as long as we have some criteria that, make sense and that are reasonable.
Councilwoman Perrone, I know you brought this to the table. Do you have any thoughts?
Actually, I like Councilman Anderson's suggestion with the petitions. I'm always in favor of including the community when we make such drastic changes. So I think that would be definitely a step to, to see if this is something that the community wants. And I think that's fair. And I like removing the deceased part. As I stated earlier, sometimes, you want to issue flowers while the person is alive, especially if they are somebody that we all agree should receive such a amazing recognition. So yeah, I like the suggestion. Thank you, Councilman Anderson.
Yes, and Madam Mayor, just to piggyback off of what Councilwoman Perrone said, once we're able to remove deceased, come up with a final ordinance, I would definitely like to nominate Councilwoman, former Mayor Jacqueline Jennings, because she would fit that criteria, and I would love nothing more but to give her flowers while she's still here.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Anderson.
Yes.
Any other thoughts about the street renaming? Mr. Crook, are those first goals, they're pretty clear?
Yeah, I think that gives me enough direction. I mean, essentially, we'll get rid of the requirement to be deceased. We'll get rid of the requirement of being a council person. And we'll put in the petition process where there has to be a percentage of the community signing off on a petition in order to move ahead. And I'll take a look and see if there's anything similar or akin in other municipalities. But my guess is probably something in maybe the 15% range or something like that, 10 to 15%. You don't want it so many
or street?
I'm sorry.
Of the community or the street, the particular street?
I guess I'm open to suggestion. It obviously impacts more potentially on the individuals that are on the street itself.
Right.
So I could do whatever is the will of the council. I mean, it might be something where even individuals who don't live on that particular street, but still want to recognize an individual. So you might want it to be a township-wide thing, but make it low.
Yeah.
I would make it low enough that it's not going to impede,
Right.
Make it enough that it means people are serious, but low enough that it's not going to impede people.
Right. Councilwoman Perrone?
Yes, the only thing I want to add to, because Councilman Anderson added adding Ms. Jacqueline Jennings, a former mayor of the township. The only objection that I have with that is that she is still alive, and we do have written in our ordinance that if you've already served on council and you're deceased, then that is something that the sitting council can vote on. So if we are to name a street after a council member that is still alive, then I feel that it should be petitioned by the community if we want to ignite that honor that we do once the council member is deceased. So I think that caveat, because it kind of opens up a Pandora box. Honestly, there's a few mayors, Mayor Darvis Holly,
But doesn't have 16 years.
So it just seems like it will get a little bit messy if we start including the council that are still alive. I know that in the past, what we've done with council, and I actually brought this up about a year ago, that we remissed in honoring the past council after their service. And that was something that we typically did on the council, where we would present proclamations for past council that whether if they ran for re-election and won, or lost, we would present them with the proclamation. And I think that is still something that we should do. But when we're talking about naming a street after council members that are still currently alive, when we already have it written that it is open to, it's not mandatory, but the sitting council can vote on if we want to name a street after a past council. I think it starts getting messy with that. And I love the petition idea. So if we want to incorporate a council member who is still currently alive, then I think that they should be accompanied with a petition that is introduced by the community. And last thing I'm going to say is with caution, because again, other council members can get petitions for other council members, and now we have street names and got everybody that served on a council. That's it. That's all I have.
Just to clarify myself, the way the current ordinance is, one of the key criteria for council members is 16 years. Not everybody has that. Actually, there's no one else who has 16 at this point. So if we remove the word deceased, and we just remove deceased, she would fall within the requirements of the ordinance. She has 16 years. Everybody does not have that. So that's a key caveat. And by us removing the word deceased, it opens it up to her.
Right, but it seems that you're trying to change the change for her. And as opposed to, like I spoke about a gentleman who's, was a gold medalist winner. And it seems like it's starting to be more personal and favorites. And I'm not just taking away from her years of service. I appreciate her years of service, but we already have it written that, if this person, former council and so forth, I just think it starts getting a little bit messy when we're including the council and they're still alive. And again, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I just think it gets messy by doing that.
And we hear you, Councilwoman Perrone, and it'll come down to a vote, but I think Mr. Crook, you got at least the first draft we could all go over, and then we could still, red mark it as we see needed.
Okay, well, I'll put together a draft. We'll make sure it gets circulated. Everybody can take a shot at red marking it, and we'll go from there. But at least I have some direction now. It seems like the petition is a consensus of council. So we'll incorporate that. Getting rid of deceased is a consensus of council. And I'll put in some language in terms of the years of service for being on council, as well as for a petition and what the required signature percentage would be. And I'll get that to everybody. And I don't have any pride of authorship. If you have suggestions to make changes, please feel free.
Okay, thank you. Also under unfinished business, Mr. Harris, I apologize. I forgot to ask you about making sure we were or not able to get on, come into in person and have hybrid by March 7th. I think it's March 7th. Our first
it was March 21st, Mayor. You moved it to March 21st.
Yeah, I know we talked about it. I just want to make sure council's aware, or we're still, we have, if we could do the first one or the second one. I'm just trying to make sure.
So our IT department was in there on Friday past, and I was not here on Friday, but I was informed that they did make some minor technical adjustments, tested the system, and the Zoom portion and the live portion integrated seamlessly. So yes, they say we're ready to go on March the 7th. But again, that's up to the governing body to make a final determination.
Okay, and it was hinging on if we were just making sure we were ready and up.
That's correct. Yeah, we weren't sure what their report was going to be. Right, and we were just buying some lead time.
And do you feel you still need a little bit of lead time as, postponing one meeting, or can we just go ahead? And
There is no major objection from the body because I do understand that there are still some issues with the microphones therein that I just really would like to hammer down and make sure they're up to par.
okay. So with the governing body mind just postponing coming in, having a live meeting until March 21st, that would be the second meeting in March, just to make sure that
I'm okay with that.
okay.
I'm fine. I'm more than fine with that.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
All right. Thank you, council.
Okay, thank you, council.
All right. And the last, my apologies. I thought I could generate that the operating budget for council's operating budget, but I didn't have the ability to do it. So Mr. Harris is going to do that. And Mr. Harris, can you send that out to council when we're done? This is what we requested for the operating budget. And I did want to bring up, and I did forward, and I don't know if everybody got a chance to look at it. Councilwoman Perrone did request some money for the parades and events. And it's more, I don't know if you want to wait to the next meeting to discuss. I did break down, the changes. It wasn't minor changes, but I don't know if you want to wait until we get the page from Mr. Harris first to go over it. No? Okay. All right. Councilwoman Perrone, would you mind if we discussed it at the next meeting? Or did you want to present now?
No, I'm okay. I submitted the events for 2023. There is an event that's coming up that's in April. So as long as there's no issues with that, because I know our next meeting is in March, but the committee has already been planning. I've reserved the room. It's for Autism in My Shoes Symposium, which is to take place on April 22nd at the JFK Center. So planning has already been moving with that. So as long as there's no objections about that event, but there will be not too much. I don't anticipate, and I think I put it in my spreadsheet, I don't anticipate very much needed financially for that. However, it's there. So if there are any objections.
And I apologize, Councilwoman Perrone, and we just got, I don't know, we talked to Eusebia today. I'm sorry, our CFO today. And it was said that this was just there was excess money in a trust.
So I basically asked what we had a budget for last year. So, and one event that we took place was the Veterans Day Parade. So I asked the clerk to just let me know what was left over from that budget. So there was a leftover, I think it was approximately $2,800. So that money is from 2022 from the Parade and Events Committee. With regards to the year already moving, I would anticipate that if anything needed to be spent, at least there is $2,800. And if it had already been spent, I would want to know what was it spent on, because our Veterans Day Parade was in November. Then we had basically the holidays, and here we are, it's February. So I just stated that there is some money, and basically I think Mr. Harris stated that although that money was allocated for the parade and events, once the year ends, it goes into a trust funds. I think that was to my understanding of his email with regards to that.
And I think from what I understand now, that was set in error from our, it was set in error, and that this money was really a trust from, and please somebody correct me if I'm wrong, 2009. And it can only be utilized for a parade because it was money.
Okay.
So yeah, it wasn't money for the parades and events. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Harris, or.
Okay, I can correct you because I know for a fact, and we keep coming up with this topic, whenever the parade and events topic comes up, there was $25,000 appropriated for 2022. The parade, cost approximately 15,000. So I know that there is money left over. They said it was only 2,800 left over. I didn't dispute it. I just, I know I can subtract 15 from, 25,000. We all were there when we voted for it. It was there. Whatever the CFO did with the money and whatever everybody else did with the money, all I know is that budget, all of it was not used. There was one event that took place. And again, there's an event, autism awareness is in April. I'm trying to put on an event for the community for autism awareness. And again, I've reserved the banquet hall for April 22nd. The event it's entitled Autism in My Shoes Symposium. Again, it's not something that's going to cost $15,000, but there will be, and I put it in the spreadsheet of the limited that's needed for it. So I don't know how you want to proceed, but we do need to probably clear that up, because I have already contacted individuals, speakers that are planning to come, and parents that are looking forward to this symposium. And so if you're voting to not have it move forward because of whatever the money's going on, I just need some clarity on what's going on. This way I can either move forward with this event or put it at a halt, but I do need some direction with that.
I have a quick question, Councilwoman. I know at the last meeting, I know you indicated you were unable to hold any meetings with the parade committees because of the, I guess, lack of attendance, or maybe not enough on the committee. So how was this ideal birth if it didn't come out of the committee because of the lack to hold meetings? Was there a meeting held since that last meeting?
Yes, we've had, well, not necessarily. We've had meetings about them being sworn in. Part of the issues were they were not sworn in on January. So since then, they did receive a letter, I believe as of last week, that they can be sworn in either at this meeting or at the next meeting, which is supposed to be in person in March. However, the events that we established those events last year. As i.e. the July 4th, 2023, we already had events on the calendar trying to prepare a year ahead. So these events were already created.
Okay.
So.
Now, did you submit anything to council? Because I know at one point we had said we would like to see the list of events that the parades and events committee was going to put on, so that we can, look at it, take a vote on it, because after all, council still has to vote on it to see, make sure there weren't any overlaps on other programs that were going on in the township. Have you had the opportunity to put together a list for us to review?
So
Yes,
the
you
list
did.
was sent, right? The list was
Okay.
sent, just for clarity, the
An
list
Excel
of,
sheet.
right, there's an Excel spreadsheet with the list of events. Actual dates were not established except for the symposium in April.
Okay.
And as far as council does not vote on the events that we do. That is the parade liaison. That will be myself. The parade liaison is the person, that's me in this case, who looks at the recreation department and their events. So when I put together the events and what month we're having these events, I've already looked at to see what the township's events are. And if you look at the spreadsheet, you won't see an actual date. You will see a month and the title of the event and an estimation of how much this event is anticipating to need. So the Parade and Events Committee does not, the township does not vote on whether or not we have any type of particular event. We vote on how much money is allocated to that committee, just like we did last year. We voted on $25,000 for the committee. We did not vote on whether or not there would be a Veterans Day parade or not. We voted on monies for the committee, and then the committee meets and has their meetings on what we're going to do.
All right. Okay. I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but I do believe there's an ordinance that governs that. Ms. Blodgett, would you have that ordinance?
Yes, I do.
All right. I don't have it in front of me. My understanding is, as liaisons, we are the middleman between the committee and the council, that we bring stuff back to council so that it can be approved. Yeah. I know most of the committees work in that fashion. Because I don't have the ordinance in front of me, I just want to make sure that it's either in accordance with the other ordinances or if it's something different.
Right, you're absolutely right. The liaison brings to the council their yearly events that they're planning and an estimation of how much we're looking to receive in order to accomplish these events. So that is what the council votes on. They vote on the amount of the total figure for the year for this committee. The council does not vote on what date they can have it. They don't vote on what the title should be. They don't vote on who the participants should be. They don't have that involved unless they're in that committee. Unless they're part of that committee, they don't have that type of discussion. No different than any other committee. We have the Youth Advisory Committee. We don't discuss what they're doing for this year. The Youth Advisory Committee meets, they have the discussions, and they put on their events. Similar fashion. So the only thing that we do vote on is how much money is going to be allocated for this coming year. So right now it's budget time. So we're supposed to be voting on budget to finalize it by March. So you've received, well, I'm just learning now that you didn't see it, but I know Madam Mayor did say that she received the Excel spreadsheet, and it does have a list of all of the events for this year and how much money each event, and I itemized it for each event, and these are estimations, each event for the amount of money, and then there's a total at the bottom as far as all together for the year.
I'd just like to make a correction. Dr. Worthy for the Youth Advisory Committee, she does, present to council and ask for support on the initiatives that, she tries to do with that committee. She does come to council and say, hey, I'm looking to do, and and you did actually for the Veterans Parade too. You did come to council and ask for, support. And
so basically, again, the liaison brings to the council what event is taking place. So as I did for the Veterans Day Parade, I said, we're putting on a parade. This is the date, more information's to come. Now, right now, the next event is for Autism Awareness Month, which is in April. I've reserved the location, which is the JFK Center Banquet Hall, and I'm letting you know about this event. So that's all that the liaison does. The council does not now vote on whether or not we have the autism symposium. That's not what we vote on. I bring the information, you've been made aware, and if there's any challenges or things that you think of that I may have missed, that's open and of course welcomed. But I've already done the homework as far as what events the township is putting on. I've looked at not only just the township, but actual other residents that have reserved space for their private events. So I've looked at that as well in order to calendar in this event. So that's all. The council does not now, we don't take a vote on this. We don't now begin to decide whether or not the autism symposium should take place or shouldn't take place. We don't vote on whether or not there's going to be balloons or no balloons. We don't vote on anything like that at this meeting. The only thing the council is voting on is really just a figure for 2023 for that committee.
Okay, so there, it seems to be, I don't know, I know the resolution was requested for the parades and committee. I know Councilman, you were mayor at the time. You did initiate this thing, and
Resolution 2016-122. We can discuss it at the next meeting.
Okay.
Well, I know,
but she still has to move forward for the.
Oh,
I have read the resolution, by the way, so I'm just was hoping that you can read it. You have it there. Read what it says.
And also, there's still the issue of the budget. So you're saying you only spent 15,000, so there should be at least 5,000 less from last year.
That's what I was calculating too. I got this email from Madam Clerk. She's here to speak for herself. I asked what was the balance left over. The number that I got was 2,800. So I just said, okay, well, we just move forward. And Mr. Harris did add to the email that, that money, if you don't use it in 2023, it gets sent to another area, I guess the trust fund, which is all fine. I honestly don't anticipate needing that much for this event anyway. But what I do need to know, we do need to vote on how much money is going to be allocated for this year for all events. And also the Veterans Day Parade. I am looking to do another parade this year. So everything was in the spreadsheet, itemized.
I had this spreadsheet, so that's what we're going to vote on. I did submit it to Mr. Harris in full. We're still going to have to vote on that. Because it went from, and I want to say, I think it was 20,000, 20 and 25,000. It went from 20 to 25,000 to 39,000. So that's a huge, I mean, that's a significant increase. So I did forward it to the rest of council for their review.
Okay, so the council received my spreadsheet.
Well, yeah, they had your spreadsheet, but I sent it not in time to review for this meeting. So I
Okay.
apologize for that.
All right, that's fine. And like I said, with the event, it's still moving forward unless, I'll just keep moving forward with that event. As of right now, I don't necessarily need any funding for it, like in the next few weeks. But I've been communicating with different people. They're setting their calendars to see if they can be speakers and different things like that. So I'll just keep moving forward with that. But the budget, I would like finalization on for the whole event committee, not a budget for the symposium, for the committee. And I am aware that there is money left over from 2022. So even if I did need any money, there is money in the Willingboro Township. Okay, I know that there's money there. So even if it's in a trust fund, somebody's paycheck, it's there, it's somewhere. So I'm hoping that the council is willing to support this event. It's to be a very nice event, and I'm looking to bridge the gap with autism and our community, and also provide resources to families that have family members, whether it be a child or an adult, that are autistic or on the spectrum. And so again, I anticipate this to be a very nice event, and hopefully there's no issues and that we can move forward.
All right, Councilwoman, to your point, like I said, I have no problem with the event. I just need to make sure we set the proper parameters. So based on the resolution 2016-122, whereas the committee will act as an advisory board to the Township Council to plan, assist, and support parades and similar events. It's an advisory committee. So, which means you bring information back to us and we thumbs up, thumbs down, whether it's a go or not. So I just need, moving forward, this has nothing to do, I'm not trying to hinder your event, like part of your event, but I think we just need to understand what we as liaisons, our responsibility is. And it's written right here within the resolution. It's just an advisory board. All of us as liaisons support advisory boards to the council.
Right, and Councilman Anderson, I think we're kind of going around in a circle because I stated that it's an advisory board and I'm the liaison in this particular case. And what I stated also is that this committee, because not all of the committees receive money, this is a committee that receives money, and it's not money gradually, it's money that's allocated for the year. That is the only thing that the council votes on. Advisory is not getting advice from the council to decide on whether or not how the committee meeting went, what we discussed at the meeting. We will provide minutes. We will provide minutes of our meetings, the dates that we've met, the different events that's going on. And as I did with the Veterans Day Parade, I brought to the council what we're doing. I also tried to meet with the council a few times during last year, but those meetings did not move all the way forward for different reasons. People were sick, COVID, different things like that. But whatever the case is, I don't need permission from the council to have a particular event, i.e. the autism awareness. I'm just bringing it to the council. This is the date. This is one of our events. That's it. What we vote on is the budget for the year. That's what we vote on, not whether or not we can have the symposium on the 22nd or on the 15th. The council does not have that in detail, in depth administrative voting for that. We vote on budget and policy, not what the committee is typically doing necessarily.
Well, when there's township dollars being spent,
the budget, that's what you vote on.
What I'm saying, when there's township dollars being spent, it is our responsibility as a council to make sure they're being spent in the best possible way. So that was one of the mechanisms, as having liaisons to report back. And it's not that the details of the event we want, but to say, okay, let's approve the event. Let's make sure it doesn't overlap with any other events. So once again, it's not, I don't want to go back and forth, but it may be something we need to possibly revise this ordinance. So it brings more clarity and clarification.
Okay, it's pretty clear to me. And I think we both stated the same thing. You vote on the money for the year, Councilman Anderson. That is it, the year. And so once you guys vote on that, this event is still, like I said, it's scheduled. I don't need your permission to have the event. Again, I'm tired of discussing this at this point. It's getting to be a little bit ridiculous because I was very clear. I sent an Excel spreadsheet in advance. Please take a look at it, Councilman Anderson, not to be disrespectful, but at the end of the day,
you're not being disrespectful.
Yeah, just I'm getting to that point right now. Okay, and it doesn't need to go any further with this discussion. So we can move forward. Everybody has received the spreadsheet. Take a look at it. The event is April 22nd. That's it.
All right.
All right, but I mean, it's still causing the question, you know, the summer, I think what it does call into question, with all due respect, is the resources that the township that's going to be pulled from the township. So I think
it's an event, right?
Okay, understood. So I'm just saying, you know, those are things we have to consider. You know, I think the council does have to consider in terms of events. No, we don't have to vote on every little thing, but we got the spreadsheet, to your point. So we'll talk about the spreadsheet when everybody looks at it.
Again, Madam Mayor, it's not about voting on every little thing. I didn't say vote on every little thing. You said we're not going to vote on every. That was just your words. Again,
I just said we're not going to vote. We don't need to vote on every little thing. I agree with you.
Okay. So we have the year. You have the calendar year. You have how much?
Yeah, that's why I just said. I said we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it from the spreadsheet. Yes, that's what I just said.
For the money, that is it. For the budget.
We can. I think council can have input on, you know, the events we would like to see the community. I think there's some more discussion.
You can join the committee. I'm not excluding anybody from the committee, and then you will have more input on what happens.
Is there anything else for unfinished business? All right, moving on to new business. Councilman Anderson, you have something for new business?
Yes, under new business, I'd like to make a motion that councils consider putting a time limit, a 3-hour time limit on these council meetings. As listening to the residents, these meetings go way longer than they should be, especially when we have a consent agenda. So being mindful of what the residents, you know, have come to us, telling us, you know, getting off these meetings 11:30, 12 o'clock. I think we can do township business within a 3-hour period. So I would like to make a motion that we ask Mr. Harris to work on a document, an ordinance resolution that will be crafted to govern these meetings within that time frame, for whatever's permissible.
Mr. Harris or Mr. Crook look into that?
Mr. Crook.
Yeah.
I will take a look at it. I can tell you that I've done this research for other public entities. As long as it's reasonable and as long as the time frame allows for the proper exchange of public ideas as well as council ideas, they've been upheld. I've seen anything from 3 hours to 4 hours in terms of start to finish times. So I will put together a draft ordinance and bring that back. And again, I'll circulate it to everybody. You can redline it as much as you like, and we can go from there.
Let me just get a consensus from council to make sure we're in agreement that we would like Mr. Crook to look into that. I'm okay with exploring that, Mr. Crook.
Councilman Anderson had a motion on the floor.
Oh, I apologize. Councilman Anderson. Did anybody second?
Nobody. Okay.
Motion by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Worthy.
I would also like to see included, if possible, some time limits for when we have presentations, like a not to exceed time limit, unless it's something we're doing in executive. So if sometimes we get presentations from external people, I don't know if we want to consider a time limit there, because otherwise, as we're having our meetings, we could stack a bunch of stuff on the agenda and without, and not intentionally create a meeting just by design that exceeds that 3-hour limit, depending on if we have presentations built in. So not sure if we need to be mindful of the amount of time allocated towards, presentations. And also, not sure if it would be appropriate in that document or not, but just to reiterate that some of the best practices for effective meetings to include, asking questions in advance to, the manager. There are many things that can be done to help us to have more concise meetings. And so I don't know if it should be part of the document or just a separate document, just as a reminder of the things we can do to have more concise meetings and still make sure that we're hearing from the residents and being mindful to hear from one another as colleagues, but all of that doesn't have to happen at the scheduled meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Worthy. Any other discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perrone,
Can we clear up, what are we voting on exactly?
the motion was now for Mr. Crook to look into a time limit, for council meetings.
Right.
And,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
and working on a document to govern the meetings and include time limit for presentation, that sort of thing, for Mr. Crook to do the investigation and come up with a resolution
Right.
document for you all to redline.
I'll be honest with you, I think we can use our legal dollars on more pertinent things to do. I'm not interested in spending any money to the attorney to look up something that's very simple. We have our council meetings and I'm fine with that. So I'm voting no. We can have better uses of our legal dollars. No.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
All right, is there any other new business? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Madam Clerk. Yes.
Okay.
Does council have anything else for new business? No? Okay. We're moving on to public comment. You have 4 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Public comment is now open.
Maddie Mallory.
Good evening. Maddie Mallory in Hudson Place. Because of technology, the last time I did not get a chance to put my 2 cents in on several things that I'm concerned about. And one of the things that I wanted to comment on was the discussion about the frames that were not ordered for the recipients that were part of the Veterans Day Parade. Now, if we're paying someone an extra $30,000 of taxpayers' money, I would think that they would jump through hoops to make sure that all this extra, assignments are done, because supposedly this is why the extra money is being paid. So again,
That is not why it's not paid, and you didn't give me $30,000.
Madam Clerk, it's all right.
it's my time to talk. When your
Yes.
time comes, you can talk.
You better believe it.
Ms. Mallory, please continue. Thank you.
Thank you. The second thing is that we talk about a better Willingboro, but we appoint people to boards for which they are compensated, and to be specific, the WMUA, in leadership positions that have outstanding water bills, specifically one person, and I won't call the name because I'm sure that you are aware of who this person is. And there's an outstanding water bill of more than $500, and it has been going on for quite some time. So again, let's think about what we want for a better Willingboro. My next concern is we have a person in an acting position who is a civil service employee. And my question is, how long can a person that is a civil service employee be in an acting position? On a positive note, I saw the street sweeper today on Kennedy Way. So that's a good sign. It shows that our tax dollars are at work. One other thing I brought up several meetings ago is that there's a property in Buckingham Park. And of course, there are vehicles that are parked on the lawn, in front of the door. The pickup has all kinds of whatever in it. And I know that, you know, work is being done. I've spoken to Mr. Tunstall and I've spoken to Mr. Harris about it. And I realize that work is being done. But I would like to invite all council members to just take a ride and look at what I'm talking about. And I think that, you know, we always want to name a street or do something, and that's fine. But I think we can do better as far as trying to make Willingboro a better place. So all these ordinances that we want to create for whatever, I think we need to look at how we can keep our community beautiful. I'm just glad that I don't live next door to this situation because it is despicable. And on that note, I would say I'm done and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Mallory.
Sharon L. Anderson.
Good evening, council members. This is Sharon Anderson from 7 Bellhurst Lane. There's been a conversation in the community lately, and it happened today. I couldn't get people to come to the meeting tonight to speak up, so I'm speaking for them. I know that surprises you. Anyway, folks are wondering who is responsible for sidewalk repairs, and if the township is responsible, how do you get on the list to have a repair done in front of your house? And if at some point we can get that information, it'd be great. And I'll share it around too. I'm hoping that it also encourages folks to come here and put their own 2 cents in when they learn that you get answers here, as we have in the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
All right, Pat Lindsay Harvey.
Good evening again, Pat Lindsay Harvey, Hadley Lane. I'm talking to you tonight on behalf of the library. First, I want to thank council for approving security for the library. It's something we've been waiting for quite some time. And thank you to the residents for continuing to support the library, coming to check out books and to check out Chromebooks and laptops, and we have hotspots. We also have something that a lot of the libraries don't have, and that's what's called a co-working space. It's a space that businesses can go and use during the day or when the library is open. We also have something called a maker space. Right now it's being used as a place where people can learn how to sew. And there are not many libraries around here that have those type of spaces. So we're a very unique library, very much in the 21st century. We're also a New Jersey Health Connect library. So people can get answers about, certain types of health issues and get literacy on health issues. So you see, we have a very robust library. We have a lot of things that, you can do at the library that you can't do other places. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay Harvey.
All right, Brown.
Yes, good afternoon. 78 Executive Lane. I just want to thank council and the safety director for following through on the speed sign in my location. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Anyone else for public comment?
Yes, Beulah Williams.
Good evening, Mayor McIntosh. Good evening, council members. Good evening, fellow members, citizens, I should say. Also, good evening, township clerk and township manager. Good evening, everyone. This is Beulah Williams from 8 Botany Circle. Last meeting, we were encouraged to support our business owners in Willingboro, and our church had a day where they suggested we wear African colors and so on. So we patronized the African store on Beverly Rancocas, that's close to the McDonald's. And you know, we were very happy that we were able to keep the business in Willingboro. My daughter was saying, "Oh, mommy, you know, instead of going someplace else, we patronized our own Willingboro." Then next to the African store, I noticed that the barber shop, they offer 10% to military. And I thought that was very commendable. So it's a shout out to them that they're thinking of the veterans, and you know, they're offering that 10%. And I know in past times they have even offered free haircuts for back to school and so on. So I just want to compliment them as well. Also, my daughter and I were talking about many years ago, we had Boscovs, we had ports, which turned into Boscovs and so on. And is anything going on where we're attracting any more businesses? And then I just learned that a Jamaican restaurant will be opening up in the Kennedy Shopping Center, which I think is good. But is anything going on as attracting any businesses? We even had a movie theater here, 2 different places years ago. So I would like an update if any businesses are being attracted here in Willingboro. And again, I thank all of you council members for all you're doing to make Willingboro a better place. May God continue to bless all of you as you work for our great Willingboro. As ex-mayor Worth used to say, Boro strong. So God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
You're welcome. And is Deputy Mayor okay? She's not on. Is she all right?
Yeah, she's okay. She's on a business trip.
Very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tarina Williams.
Rooms 8 Botany Circle. Good evening, Mayor McIntosh, council members, Ms. Blygen, Mr. Harris, and of course our community, and of course Mr. Crook. Thank you all for your time. I too want to say thank you for encouraging us to support our nearby stores in honor of Black History Month. The store that my mom mentioned is Honey Drop African Boutique on Beverly Rancocas Road. They have a lot of beautiful clothes for male and female, as well as children. So I encourage you to go to the store when you get the chance. It's close by to McDonald's and so forth. In addition to that, at our last council meeting, we cordially invited you to our families and mental health series. For those of us who are unable to go, you can go to our Facebook And some of the sessions were recorded and are placed on it. We were able to get new insight on the different mental problems that people are going through, and especially in light of COVID. And then they have all these different horrible storms like in Iraq and wars, and then the devastating tornadoes in Turkey and Syria. And of course, children and young people are saying, why does this keep happening? Why? And then cyberbullying and all of these different things that truly overwhelm me sometimes, saying what I went through pales into comparison to what they went through. So let us be encouraged to talk to them and see how they're doing. And my question is, are there any talks of having maybe a town hall or to get a closer look on how our young people and children are doing? I was watching CBS News this morning, and a psychologist came on and was talking about the percentage of, they compared male and female, and more females have talks of suicide. And we watch the news and we hear about different young people who, it could be because of a fight and it's not addressed, that they kill themselves, and it's just really devastating. So I would like to know, are there any talks of that taking place so that we can keep our church and community informed of, because all of us can help make a difference for the good as opposed to bad. This next Saturday at our church, Willingboro Seventh-day Adventist Church, we're having a special Women's Day of Prayer. So we cordially invite anyone who would like to join us. More prayer, more power. March is Women's History Month, so let us be encouraged to acknowledge that in any way we can. And it's also Disability Awareness Month. While it's disheartening whenever we hear about a celebrity having a medical condition, the good part of it is that suddenly there's more interest in it. So it'd be great if our township can acknowledge Disability Awareness Month. Please, I really appreciate whenever you do special awareness to different months. Thank you. I love the suggestion that Councilman Anderson spoke about having a certain amount of time for meetings. These meetings are important, but it could just be by another person's concern that it goes from being 1 hour to 3 hours or 4 hours. So it's like the same way that us residents have a certain amount of time to ask our questions. I believe another suggestion could be council members or our guests should be allotted a certain amount of time so that you stay within the means of staying on track with your different ordinances that you have on the agenda to address, as opposed to drifting into something else that is again mentioned on the next meeting and the next meeting. If you have it as one of the agenda items, you'll take care of it at that meeting and it won't continue to go
Ms.
overlapping
Williams,
into the
your
other
time
agenda.
is up.
Okay, thank you for your
You're
time.
very welcome.
God bless.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
You're welcome.
All right, Gary Johnson.
You, if you're speaking.
I think I found the way to unmute. Yeah, I get confused. I think Gary Johnson, 54 Gramercy Lane. I know this is Black History Month, and I'm probably going to get this messed up, but I would like to make a small contribution, if you wouldn't mind, to Black History Month. I've always been someone who was interested in science, so I'm always looking around the web for interesting things coming up in the science agenda. And lo and behold, for Black History Month, I find that NASA has named a huge moon landmark after a prominent Black mathematician who worked during the agency in the Hidden Figures era, which was made famous by a movie. So Melba Mooten, who was on this great Earth from 1929 to 1990, will be designated by NASA on a Delaware-sized flat moon mountain near the water-rich lunar South Pole. This particular mountain and this site is of great interest to NASA. They're planning some of their new Artemis landings, maybe rovers, to go to this area to seek for water in the form of ice. I really thought was great that it came out at this time. And Miss Mooten joined NASA in 1959, and she fought against a lot of problems that blacks had in that particular time. So like many others, she worked in the background and was never really made foremost. And I, like Katherine Johnson, that was made famous in the movie, she was a critical part in getting our program underway. And while I don't completely understand all of this mathematics stuff, it's certainly not 2 + 2 = 4 mathematics. These people were doing some very complex and critical mathematical calculations by hand before the era of computers. And I just don't know that many people really understand or appreciate the work that they did in getting our space program off the ground and running. And I think it's great that she will be recognized, and we can look up at an object in the sky at night and say, wow, there's one of ours, and shining back at us. I would also like to make known that a Willingboro resident, Lavette Ballard, will have her work published in Time magazine. So not only is Willingboro doing great and making progress, but we can see that it's finally coming to be that the blacks who have contributed so much to this country and gotten so little recognition for it are finally getting at least some. So please accept this as my contribution to Black History Month. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson.
All right, Shirley Dilworth.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I just have a few things that I'm concerned about. Okay. And one of those
Your address, Ms. Dilworth, please.
Newport Lane. Sorry about that. Okay. One of the issues that I am concerned about is property inspection. I am happy to hear that the inspection department is going to take a more aggressive approach, to monitoring properties. Because what I'm sure you all are aware that Willingboro's we're getting a lot of new residents, okay, that are moving in, and a lot of new residents that have moved in, and that's a good thing. But what I have noticed about new residents in my area are very unfamiliar with, okay, some of the ordinances or some of the rules and regulations that go on in the community as far as maintaining their property, as far as disposing of items, okay? Because I notice mattresses, okay, furniture put at the curb. I have no way, I don't know if they have called for pickup, but maybe this is something that the inspectors could start doing on a regular basis, is to come around to inspect the neighborhoods, because we do have a lot of new residents that are moving into the community. Okay. And some of these properties, especially at the back of some properties, I don't know if there's an ordinance that would allow you to look at the rear of properties, but some of them look awful, okay? Boats, trucks, and all manner of debris, okay, is stored in the back of the property. The other thing that I am concerned about is just generally speaking about cleanup. And I'm wondering, is it possible for us to have a cleanup campaign that residents can participate in? Okay. I think it's unrealistic for us to think that our Public Works Department is going to be solely responsible for keeping our streets, okay, looking the way we would like for them to look. So I don't know if this is something our township manager could, a campaign that could start, and the community could, buy into it, participate. I think it will be a way to instill pride in the community. And it also will be a way to teach our young people, okay, about how to go about cleaning up debris, okay, in the neighborhood, debris on the streets. And a lot of the debris on the streets are contributed or put there by young people. And lastly, the other thing that I'm concerned about, okay, is time limit for council meeting. I know you need time to have the meetings, but in recent months, I think the council has been taking too much time discussing the same issue over and over again. And I think you need to give us some consideration and not spend all of that time talking about the same thing. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for all of the work that you do.
Thank you, Ms. Dilworth.
All right, calling listener ending in 7297.
Good evening, Council. Jacqueline Max, Maplewood Plain. I would like someone to explain to me the usage of the elevator that we have in the municipal building. Years ago, when that building was revamped, we really put forth a lot of effort in trying to get that installed so that people could use it, park in the back parking lot and come in and use the elevator and go up to the council meetings and to the rest of the offices, pay our bills, etc. In the meantime, a neighbor spoke to me today and said that she had problems the last time she tried to use that, which I think was in the fall, probably in December when we pay November, December when we pay taxes. I guess it's November. But anyhow, I would like someone to explain to me why they can't use it. Now, I know there are parking spaces out front, but if you ever saw people trying to go up the ramps with a walker, it's very hard. That ramp isn't properly set up for the use of a walker. And this particular person I'm speaking of does have a walker. So I would hope that the back door can somehow be opened, or a buzzer, a bell to ring or something. So if someone would explain that to me, I'd appreciate it very much. And, well, talk about trash throughout the township. We have a cleanup, community cleanup in the fall. We have gone to the school district and asked them to get the children to pick up trash. It isn't working. So those of us who are around, we just see the trash, we pick it up, and that's that. The other item someone brought up tonight about council meetings, I have to admit I love to come to council and know what's going on in the community. However, I hate to be beat over the head with one subject over and over and over again. Repetition is not good for anyone. I'm sorry. That might have been how you learned the timetable, but please stop beating us over the head. Thank you very much, and let's hope we can get something going here with good council meetings. Thanks. Good night.
Thank you, Ms. Mack.
All right, Dr. Denise King.
Dr. King, if you're speaking, you're on mute.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And again, thank you for having this opportunity for public to have comments. I am Dr. Denise King. I'm at 135 Torrington Lane in Willingboro, New Jersey. And I'm calling first of all, not only to thank you for your service, but also to invite you to a community event that is upcoming that I will be sharing as a new author and an entrepreneur. Celebration of our generational trailblazers here in Willingboro and throughout our local community. Will be held on March the 4th at 3:30 at Tabernacle Baptist Church. And it's our honor and our pleasure to really honor our generational trailblazers who are making a difference not only to their families, but also our community. Many of them are spotlights right here in our local community, making a difference. And I believe it is our responsibility to honor those who are around us, who are sometimes not seen, but also doing such great work behind the scenes. So invite council and any other township members to feel free to come out. The information is on my page of www.deniseking.com and also on my Facebook page if you need additional information. Once again, thank you for allowing us to have this opportunity to comment, and I hope to see some of you there as we celebrate our pioneers and superstars together right here in our community. Have a wonderful and blessed evening.
You too. Thank you, Dr. King. Is there anyone else in queue for public comment? All right. Host, can you just take one more look?
Yep, I think that's all for right now, Mayor.
All right, thank you so much. All right, public comment is now closed. It's 8:59. Mr. Harris, you could address what you can.
Yes, thank the residents for their questions and comments. Ms. Mallory started off asking about how long can someone serve in a civil service position in an acting position. I do not know that there is a specified time limit, but I will check with our human resource director tomorrow and get a final answer for that, and I will respond to that at the next meeting. She spoke on some property maintenance issues as well as Ms. Dilworth and Ms. Mack. So I will kind of address those in one group because it's going to be pretty much the same information. You're absolutely correct. The township does have ordinances in place, require certain levels of property maintenance. We have been very aggressive. The inspections department and the police department in making sure that those ordinances are being upheld and maintained and that properties are being maintained, like I said earlier, at an acceptable level. This is a hotbed issue with me, and I made that very plain and clear to our inspections department and police who are working in tandem to make sure that some of these issues that have been allowed to linger maybe a little bit too long to be taken care of. That one particular property with the vehicles on the lawn, I had a conversation with the inspections department, and whatever we need to do to abate that situation, whether it be towing those vehicles, then we will do. And that order has been placed today to have those vehicles towed. So, you know, the day of just doing whatever residents wanted to do in Willingboro, hopefully are coming to an end, and it's going to take some very aggressive enforcement. One thing that I will ask is that if you see a situation, please don't turn a blind eye to it. Just let us know, and then we can go and address that situation. Ms. Dilworth did ask about or did mention new residences. New residents get a new resident package. They've been receiving them, I believe, since the middle of 2022. There was an older version that had been modified. We are looking to update that information again and include it on our website and make it maybe a QR code that is accessible to the residents. It's a very thick package and streamline it a little bit. but we are doing the best that we can to educate the residents what the requirements are for property maintenance here in Willingboro are. And as far as, Ms. Dilworth, what you were mentioning about, we are starting a Clean Communities campaign. I put together a committee in-house of members of my inspections department, our DPW department, our police department, our communications department, and we are putting together a Clean Communities program where we're going to educate residents on why it's important to keep our communities clean. We put together a booklet that we are handing out to our businesses, and Inspections has been going and aggressively talking to our business owners about keeping their properties clean, as well as other initiatives we are discussing. We talked about the Divine Nine and the park benches. One thing that we discussed in maybe further discussion is maybe they can adopt a park and we could provide them with a small grant to maybe host a park cleanup once or twice a year, monies that they could use to maybe foster scholarship programs, and we would provide them the necessary tools to do that. So we are discussing different avenues and methods to keep our community clean. Please do not think that this is going unnoticed or has fallen on deaf ears, because it has not. Ms. Williams, she did bring up some points in her comments. I just want to know that I did go by that barbershop this afternoon to get a quickie before our meeting. So yes, another thing that she did, I believe it was her, she talked about mental health or concern for the mental health of our young people. We do have a workshop for our mental health workshop for our young people that is going to be held at the Kennedy Center on, I believe it's March the 11th from 11 to 3 p.m. There is additional information on that on our website where you can go and find out a little more detail about that. Ms. Anderson questioned who was responsible for sidewalk repairs in the township. The township has a 10-foot easement into, I guess, off of the curb line. So the first 10 feet in are township responsibilities. We do have a list. That list is ranked in order of priorities. We did do 67 locations last year as far as sidewalk repairs, but we have a lot more to do. There was about a 2-year backlog on sidewalk repairs, and part of our long-term capital budget, that we've been discussing is including an amount into that budget every year for sidewalk maintenance. So we are, looking into that as well. And I believe the last question was maybe from Ms. Mack regarding the usage of the elevator at the Township Plaza. That elevator is available for usage. There is a doorknob there that if anybody needs access, they can ring the bell. It will activate at the security booth, who will come down and open that door and allow them to use that elevator. That door was locked a few years ago before I arrived for security purposes. And the main entrance is the main entrance into the building, even for the court offices. But there is a bell down there. There are 2 handicap parking spaces down there as well. And if anyone needs to access that door, again, they can just push the bell and someone from security will go in and let them in. And I believe those are all of the issues that need to be addressed, Mayor. If I missed anything, please let me know.
Okay. Mr. Harris, concerning Mrs. Mack's usage of the elevator, can they make sure there's a sign in the back for directions? 'Cause I think it is a little confusing. People may go down there and there's no direction on what to do, whether it's to ring the bell and wait for somebody to buzz them in or anything like that. So if they can add some directions down there. I know Ms. Beulah, she did ask how we're attracting businesses to Willingboro. Thank you. The mental health thing for at the Kennedy Center was good. And I think that's the only one. It was really the attracting business. I don't even know if you have an answer for that one.
I know we've been having conversations with the Economic Development Committee about different things that can be done. You know, we're looking at different ways to market available properties in Willingboro. You know,
And I do want to add.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mayor.
And I do want to add that the council is interested. We're going over, we did put in our investment sheets that we do want to invest in a community develop, somebody who can help with economic development, a coordinator. So we did put that request in from council. So council is looking at that to make sure we are properly marketing. We do get conversations with developers between the council or, you know, members of the council or our township manager. So conversations are happening. There's slower movement than we would like, but there is movement. But we are aware that we want to make sure economic development in Willingboro is thriving and alive. And I think, council, is there anything else that we may have missed? Councilwoman Crone, yes.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I was hoping that the clerk, Madam Clerk, would speak to the plaques that I requested for the veterans that served our country. I did order plaques, and so I know at the last meeting, I think the update was they were on the way. I don't recall seeing an email, Madam Clerk, if you sent something, but where are we with receiving the plaques for the veterans?
So there was no plaques. What you asked me to order was frames, and those frames were ordered through Amazon. So I'm just waiting for them to come in. The first set came in and they were wrong. We sent them back. We got a refund and the order is back at Amazon. Okay. I don't make plaques, I order them.
I misspoke. I meant the frames for the proclamations. I think I got confused because I know that the mayor and deputy mayor received the plaque. So I kind of got the language confused, but yes, you're actually
Yes, you
right.
did. But the plaques that the mayor and the deputy mayor get, that's what the mayor and the deputy mayor get at every reorg. They just did not have it. They don't come from the same place. Those were plaques. You ordered frames, and the frames were ordered.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Thank you. I will move on to council comment. Does anyone from council have any comments, closing comments?
I just want to thank the residents for coming out.
Ladies first. Go ahead, Council.
Then I'm outnumbered. This is the only privilege I get to go first.
It's just to add your name.
I just want to thank all the residents for coming out. And a big shout out to the Willingboro Police Department for their efforts and providing the dinner initiative for the Fitzgerald family. That really made me, smile to see that we're thinking of others outside of this community. We're doing what we do best. And once again, that was just a proud moment for us. And I just want to say thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson. Dr. Worthy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to say thank you to the community for coming out today. Also for the support for our Turkish brothers and sisters in our community who are dealing with a huge loss with the 2 earthquakes. The donations have been pouring into the mosque on Beverly Mancocas Road. So on behalf of that congregation, they're grateful. They have published a list of things that they're in more dire need of. So if anyone is interested, we do have that information, but they're accepting donations at the mosque, monetary donations, as well as some physical items, if we're interested. So thank you. And then it's Black History Month, continuing to celebrate Black History Month. ATAP Foundation was delighted to have the Buffalo Soldiers Motorcycle Club come do a presentation and talk to the students about the Buffalo Soldiers, their journey, their history in the history that they made. Also, 1996 Olympic gold medalist Lamont Smith came to ATAP Foundation. Also, he was in town to honor the life of Evelyn Lewis, who passed away, and he came and shared words with the students just about his journey and about how important it is for them to continue to make history and to learn about their history. So I just encourage our residents to continue to celebrate Black history, not just in the month of February, but every day of the year, continuing to learn more about not just Black history, but American history, because we know Black history is part of American history. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilwoman Perrone.
Yes, again, just I'm looking forward to going back to in-person meetings. I think it's more informal, it's, more informal, it's that we're behind these cameras. So I'm looking forward to that, and thank you for the work from the township of getting that established. However, I'm happy that we're also going to be able to have virtual meetings as well, in a combination for those who are not able to attend in person. And I just was thinking after Madam Clerk spoke, I am elected my second term. I don't ever recall seeing plaques issued to any former council member that served as a mayor or deputy mayor. And as a matter of fact, I was a former deputy mayor and of Willingboro, by the way, and I did not receive a plaque at a reorg meeting. So I'm not sure, Madam Clerk, where you said that it's always been done that the mayor and deputy mayor receive a plaque, because I know for myself and other past mayors and deputy mayors did not receive a plaque. However, with closing, that's all I have for this evening, and good night, Willingboro.
Thank you, Councilwoman Perrone. I did want to echo Dr. Worthy's sentiment of making sure if you can, make sure you donate to the mosque on 411 Beverly Rancocas Road. They did, as Dr. Worthy has said, they had extensive earthquakes and they are in need, and Willingboro has been showing up for them. So you make us look good, so we appreciate it. Also want to make sure residents are still aware that the Anchor property tax relief for February 28th, it ends February 28th. Senator Singleton, along with Assemblyman Herb Conaway, they put forth this initiative so that renters can get up to, I guess, $500 and homeowners $1,500. So I think this is money on the table to make sure you investigate and see if you can get. I do appreciate everyone coming out tonight. I think this is a great meeting. We got a lot accomplished. And it's one of our shorter meetings. So I hope everyone appreciates that. We thank you, Council, for all the work you put in over the last 2 weeks and getting our capital budget priorities and our priorities for 2023. We will be rolling them out at the next council meetings. So I appreciate everyone. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Ms. Blige, you're on mute.
Thank you. Mayor, are we doing executive session?
Real quick, it's just a few minutes.
I need a motion to go into executive session, please.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilman Anderson, second by Mayor McIntosh. Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Perrone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy?
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh?
Yes.
Did y'all get the link?
I received it.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay. I need a motion to come out of executive session, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Roll call.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Continue, Mayor.
Yes, please.
I need a motion for adjournment, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Dr. Worthy. All in favor, say aye.
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 It is 9:33. We are adjourned.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you. Good
Good night.
night.